In a world based on silence, The Last Laugh is a 7-minute film where peace is not presented as a gift but as a reflection. Finn goes through the apocalypse laughing as he dances through the libraries, greeting corpses and hoarding water. But this slowly transforms into something much darker. Within is Sin, a melodramatic, controlling alter ego who is a welcome relief, but at a price. As reality and fantasy blur in Finn's perceptions, the film entwines the main themes of identity, isolation, control, and the price of freedom through psychological toll. Using elements of black comedy and psychological thriller, the film exemplifies the inner struggle between fear and autonomy in a post-apocalyptic world and the broken mind of the protagonist. A Quiet Place and Joker were the films that I studied as a sound designer on this film, examining how silence builds storytelling. The films are similar in themes, subject matter, and tone to The Last Laugh. Sound is a critical device used throughout John Krasinski's A Quiet Place, as it's used to determine life or death against humanity from the aliens. Whilst successfully building rising tension throughout the film through silence, it delves into key concepts of parental fear and suppression of emotions. Krasinski's choice of techniques throughout the film has inspired me as sound designer on The Last Laugh, as it functions within a hostile, claustrophobic world. Within these two worlds, the use of silence as a language is to symbolize tension, fear, and significance. Joker, specifically this bathroom scene, offers a firm place of creative identification. The moment Arthur kills, we observe a pivotal shift, not in exposition or dialogue, but in the subtle, almost balletic motion of his body through space. This shifts the film's tone from psychological realism to one that is melodramatic, indicating Arthur's descent into the Joker mode. The focus of self-fashioning in violence and representation in terms of sound, body position, rhythm, and composition firmly relates to The Last Laugh's focus on psychological transformation, not in what is spoken, but in how Finn reacts and accommodates. Throughout A Quiet Place, the traditional narrative framework is absent, as the audience is thrown into the middle of the action. There's a 3-act rhythm present within the children's navigation through the store, with the narrative climaxing as the toy gets taken, the emotional resolution being the parents noticing it too late. Effectively enabling silence and pacing foreshadows a tension rising, where slow storytelling is conceptualized with an internal emotional existence pressure rather than external action. In this scene, Arthur barricades himself in a bathroom and dances. The scene is constructed in a deceptively simple fashion. There is no dialogue, instead, the sequence exploits a tonal shift, switching from suspense and chaos to disquieting tranquility. The pace drops to a virtual crawl, letting us in on Arthur's altered perspective. The scene's 3-act cadence is felt in his arrival, his initial emotions, and then finally the full release of the dance. Dynamic silence is used throughout A Quiet Place. Rather than simply muting the sound, the filmmakers carved out its absence, filling the silence with creaks, shuffles, and breath. Throughout the film, diegetic audio such as paper rustling or toy parts being moved creates an unbearably loud sound, turning the mundane into suspenseful. Through these technical strategies, I have been influenced to employ them strategically throughout as a sound designer on The Last Laugh. Through this bathroom scene in The Joker, Hildur Guðnadóttir's score dominates with the low cello rise and fall, like breath, pacing itself to Arthur's movements. Through Bordwell and Thompson, stating, as the fundamental components of film sound, loudness, pitch, and the timbre usually interact to define the sonic texture of a film. This is the technique emphasizing non-verbal sound and using movement rather than dialogue. That is at the heart of creative strategy. We want to let the frame and soundscape do the emotional heavy lifting with less emphasis on exposition and more on cinematic dialogue through sound. As the sound designer, I will employ silence as a tool for survival, drawing directly from these strategic implementations. I want to display Beecham's point of view that some sounds have inherent qualities that generate tension or release and are often used metaphorically. This will keep the audience deeply engaged as it provides this game-like tension, adding extreme character depth to Finn and his internal conflicts. Like Joker, our protagonist is pushed by external forces until he experiences a moment of mental breakdown. We intend to use body movement and controlled pacing to externalize these changes in his mind. I'll also be implementing the way the film uses tone and rhythm, allowing the musical score to depict emotional progression.